Night train sleeper car promise on the ticket stub. The night train keeps its own morality. By day it's timetables and plausible small talk between strangers. After dusk, it becomes a long, moving corridor where decisions collect like rain on glass. I boarded at platform 7 with my phone face down in my left pocket, the pocket I use for things that are supposed to make it home, and the kind of bag you bring when you want to pretend you're only leaving for a little while. The conductor punched my ticket without looking me in the eye, which felt like a favor. Back home, Aaron had said, "Can we talk tomorrow?" in the voice that really means please stay now. Our couch is a courtroom when it wants to be. If we sit at opposite ends long enough, it swears us in. I left before we submitted opening statements we'd end up eating cold for breakfast. On the station stairs, my screen lit with a message from R. Roman in my contacts, R in the way I label hazards to make them smaller. Sleeper 12. Walkway between cars, just talk. By day, I fix other people's paragraphs for a travel magazine that still believes in paper maps. By night, I try not to turn my own sentences into weapons. Aaron and I keep a code that works when we remember it. T means come here, you awake. Means I'm scared. Tomorrow means not yet, but don't go far. Roman had re-entered orbit 2 months ago when I wrote a piece on sleeper routes, and he'd walked me through the hardware of motion with the gentleness of someone who loves machines but trusts people. He wore a vest unbuttoned one too many and a laugh that sounded like a glass agreeing to be set down gently. He didn't ask for anything. That was how I started bringing him everything. The walkway between cars is an honest place. The floor plates flex, the rubber bellows breathe. The metal makes a sound that says don't pretend this is anything but a moving bridge. Roman stood there with a puncher in one hand and a ticket book in the other, sleeves pushed, collar unpunished. He didn't smile with his mouth. He let his eyes do the moral labor. "You came," he said, "because grown men never tire of pretending arrival is a plot twist." "I came to return something," I said. "My spare key, your restraint." "Your name," I said. "It's been on my mouth too long for its own health." He tore off a blank stub from the book and set it on the metal ledge, the pencil beside it worn down to a truth that didn't need to be pretty. "3 words," he said. "Why are you here?" "3 words is cruel," I said. "That's why they work." He tilted his head toward the coupling between cars. "No speeches out here. Things slip." I wrote proud at breakfast. Beneath it, smaller like a fuse I might or might not light, touch before arguing. He read the graphite as if it had temperature. He didn't touch me. His hand hovered a breath from my lapel, the distance a match keeps during training, and fell away like the rivets had a vote. "Does he know?" Roman asked. He didn't need to weaponize the pronoun. "He knows the apartment is quiet," I said. We stood in the braid of wind where 2 cars confessed to each other all night long. He stepped into my weather, heat arriving before hands do when men are trying to be better than their appetites. "Tell me no," he said softly, like a man offering a lifeline he also wants to pull back. I didn't. I met him in the inch that rewrites evenings. His mouth tasted like mint and the idea of citrus. When his hand found the back of my neck, his grip remembered humane limits. My body answered like a courtroom that wants the witness anyway. He made the sound men make when a small country surrenders and calls it diplomacy. I made the one I've learned to forgive when it belongs to him. We didn't rush. Trains reward rhythm, not speed. His mouth found the hinge of my jaw. Mine found the place behind his ear where regret loses vocabulary. His palm slid under my shirt and rested flat a second. "Do you swear?" Then moved with attention rather than appetite. He guided my hand down with the steadiness of a man who trusts torque over drama. I closed my fingers and he exhaled into my mouth a truth nobody paid to hear. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because steel prefers prose. The bellows sighed like a patient creature, deciding to forgive two men for being human in motion. "We already cheated," he said when breath remembered its duty. "We cheated the night we started telling each other the truth before we told it at home." "I know," I said, and a signal far ahead changed its mind. He folded the stub and slid it into my left pocket with ceremonial slowness. His thumb traced my wrist once and chose not to stay. He stepped back the moral inch that passes inspection. "I booked a roomette," he said, not triumphant. "Weather report, not prophecy. Refundable. We could stand at the window and not touch for 60 seconds to prove we remember ceremony. We could keep the do not disturb honest." "I'm tired of being clever," I said. "Clever's a scenic detour," he said. "Accurate is the timetable." He reached into the breast pocket of his vest and produced a novelty magnet shaped like a tiny locomotive, ridiculous and perfect. He pressed it into my palm. "For your fridge," he said. "Cold helps letters behave." In the sleeper corridor, he showed me the trick to unlatching a door without waking the man with the practiced conscience inside it. We didn't use the trick. We sat on the fold-down seat by the emergency window and watched a small town decide to sleep. He pointed out the names of switches that sounded like saints. "Text me a weather report in the morning," he said. "Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I said, "when we let it." The train made a slow curve and the night rearranged itself. I moved back to my compartment, a narrow kingdom where a person's better self can sit on one bunk and courts his worse on the other. I slept 3 hours and woke to a whistle that sounded like an apology. At the terminal, I stepped into a city that had chosen a temperature and stuck with it. The crosswalk gave me time, I took it. The apartment offered its square of kitchen light and the fridge's patient hum. Aaron sat on the floor with his back against the door, sleeves pushed to his elbows, one ankle crossed over the other, the posture manuals use when they draw people who are about to fix things. He didn't ask where I'd been. He tilted his head toward the place beside him. I sat. "Do you want to be asked?" he said, voice steady, not performing mercy, offering it. "Please," I said, because prompts are the scaffolding of my better self. "Are you lonely?" "Some nights," I said. "Not here. Not when you ask first. Not when the kettle outruns the reasons." I took his wrist and placed his hand on my forearm the way he does when he needs to make sure I'm not inventing weather. His thumb traced once and believed me. "I feel useful," he said. "I want to be wanted before I'm useful." "Tonight's procedure," I said. "Touch first, argue second, report later." The kettle clicked like a stamp in a patient country. He poured water over mint. We named it dinner because names are cheaper than regret. I pinned the folded ticket stub beneath the train magnet so Proud at Breakfast faced the room. Aaron read the graphite and his mouth did the smaller, braver thing. He took the dry erase marker from the cup by the fridge and wrote beneath the magnet, "Tomorrow, keep the torque." He didn't grin. He nodded like a man assembling a morning from honest screws. We made a rule that isn't noble. When prosecution tries to wear a bathrobe, one of us says sleeper and the other puts the kettle on while the first puts his hands where history can find them. 5 words when 5 are enough. Stop at the shoulder, not the ditch. Try to want what we promised, and when we don't, write 3 words on small paper and tell the room where we'll fail differently tomorrow. Days do what days do when you're trying to be an amateur human with professional consistency. The stub in my pocket learns the shape of my left hand. Paper learns its carriers. On the late bus, I draft messages to no one that begin I didn't ask because I thought that counted as kindness and end may your breakfast go right. I don't send them. The not sending feels like a skill borrowed from signals. Wait, then go. A week later, afternoon tries to be a test. A feature kills my favorite paragraph. The editor wants tidy adjectives for messy weather. I walk past the station and buy nothing. I leave a bottle of water on the bench with a note, for whoever is waiting for a sister. A porter glances up and gives me the nod bridges use when they've held and will hold again. On my way home, I slip a blank baggage tag into my pocket and write "turn" toward your name across the clean side. I don't light anything. Roman and I adjust our grammar. Fewer late-night messages. No roomettes with the curtain drawn like a bad idea getting dressed. If we fail quieter. If we stop without applause. Still, we orbit. He sends a picture of the control panel with my initials hidden in grease pencil. I send steam curling over 2 mugs and Aaron's unshowy script under the magnet, torque. We flirt by timetables. We confess by maintenance. When rain finds the tracks like a rumor and a freight stalls between signals, Roman calls needing a runner to bring a wrench the yard hands can't be trusted with. I'm 4 blocks away and too willing. We work beside the coupler like men who know where fingers end and responsibilities begin. When the air hose sighs back to life, he leans against the handrail, laughing wrong. He pulls me close. The taste of rain. The clank of metal approving and minding its own business. We don't rush. We map mercy with our mouths and rehearsal with our hands. His palm pauses at my waist, "Do you swear?" and goes only as far as the better version of me allows. I bracket him with a grip he can step out of without proving anything. He reaches for me and I let him. We stay quiet because the yard keeps receipts. "We're bad at quitting," he says against my throat. "We're good at failing differently," I say into his collar. He presses his forehead to mine like an apology that doesn't perform pity. "Text me a weather report in the morning," he says. "Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I say, "when we let it." Aaron meets me at home with the posture of a question he isn't weaponizing. He notices the dust and the borrowed jacket and asks only, "Hungry?" We eat toast like it has been newly invented. After, he writes under the magnet, "Ask before leaving." I write, "Hold me first." We sign it with our names because sometimes paperwork is how 2 men stay brave. The magazine prints my sleeper feature with a headline that uses the word unsung like it's a tip. Roman texts a photo of the paragraph where I accidentally wrote "we" when I meant "they." He doesn't correct me. He lets the pronoun sit there like a light that didn't turn green but could. Aaron reads the same line and kisses my temple the way a man speaks kindly to a switch that finally learned its job. On a blue morning, I turn the stub over and add 3 new words. Choose the hard. It looks like a spare station name on a line map nobody rides on purpose. I tuck the paper back into my left pocket and feel the day settle a degree. Later, I bring the locomotive magnet to the station and press it into Roman's palm. "For your locker," I say. "Cold helps letters behave." He closes his hand around it like a prayer he's not going to say out loud. "We can stop," he says. "He means I won't make you the worst thing about yourself." "I don't know how," I say. "I mean I might learn." We stand by the bumper post, not touching, while a local pulls in with the clean arrogance of something that knows where it's going. In that noise we agree to less. Fewer messages. No doorways that click shut from the inside. If we stay cleaner. If we break gently. It's not noble. Nobility is a word I don't trust anymore. It's procedural, like coupling quietly so the freight behind you doesn't wake. Weeks blur in the way calendars do when you're trying. Breakfast becomes a place with rules. No phones at the table. No rehearsed cruelty before coffee. No pretending tomorrow is a closet where tonight can hang unexamined. Sometimes Aaron asks if Roman made me feel seen. I tell him yes, and that being seen isn't the same as being kept. He nods like a map allowing a road to be closed without deleting it. The train I used to take on bad days leaves the platform without me. I stand and watch it go and feel both better and worse. Roman leans out of a vestibule window long enough to salute the version of me he liked most, then disappears into duty. I walk home with hands I trust more than last month. Opening day of the renovated concourse, I linger in the crowd, anonymous in a tie I can't justify. The speeches are so pleased with themselves you could set a watch by them. After, Roman sends a single photo. The walkway between cars empty, the bellows breathing. A small, obedient animal. I send back the magnet on our fridge and the ticket stub under it. We leave it there. Outside, the station returns to its busy innocence. Inside, our kitchen hums its modest hymn. Aaron leans against the counter and asks, "Are you staying?" without making it a trap. "I'm trying to want what I promised," I say. "Help me make more minutes where that's easy." He nods, opens the drawer, and finds a blank index card. He writes, "Read me closely." I write, "Handle with care." We pin the card under the magnet, absurd and effective as any ritual that keeps two men from becoming hatchets. We fail, and fail differently, and fail in ways that don't require anyone to stand on a platform pretending to know which track will save them. The room does not demand a verdict. The morning remembers its job. And when we say tomorrow out loud, it means only what we let it mean. The ticket stub warms in my left pocket, heavier than paper has any right to be, a moving promise that doesn't drag me forward so much as hold me still long enough to choose.